Oh my god. Hello, everybody. Hello. So, I don't have all this fancy equipment I used to have to be able to edit videos and all that stuff. So, I'm just going to go live. Because I don't have the patience to click and edit and all that stuff anymore. I just don't have the patience or the time. So, Polish folk witch, Ella Harrison, and the redheaded witch came up with a new hashtag called occult tea, and I wanted to do it. It's been a really long time since I've really posted any videos anyway, and for those of you wondering if I'm purposely privating any videos or anything like that, no, YouTube automatically does it, and I have to go in manually to unprivate it. And a lot of times I just don't have the time or the patience or the want to dig into YouTube to unprivate my videos. So I apologize for that as well. But this will not be private. I already know that in me even doing this video, I'm probably going to burn some bridges. But in saying that, I kind of feel like the bridges were kind of already burned anyway. So I don't really feel like I'm doing anything unique or grand or whatever. And I am using a background today because I don't really feel like showing my face. You might get a little glitch of it every once in a while, but I just don't really, I didn't feel like making myself look pretty for a video. Okay. I just wanted to answer or do these questions because it's the first hashtag I've seen in at least 2 or 3 years that I actually think is a productive it's a productive topic. It's a productive tag, if you will. So I already know that the majority of the people that are going to watch this live anyway aren't going to be around till later because it's 7:40 in the morning here, and the majority of the people that watch my videos are not awake at 7:40 in the morning. So let's see. So topic 1, impact on community. Oh, Jesus. Y'all are just not going to like any of my takes. I'm canceled, people. Canceled. What is my personal reasoning / inspiration behind sharing my practice online? Well, originally it was to share ideas and things like that with other people online. And to be really honest with you, the majority of the people I ended up being in the same circle with were either brand new to the craft or they were crones and they've been practicing for years. And so anytime I really had anything to say that I felt like was new or different when it came to practice, I had a lot of older people, and when I mean older, just older than me, in the background going, oh, that's cute. I did that 30 years ago or 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. And so it's interesting how, you know, that all worked out. But initially it was just to, share what I'm learning and learn from other people. And to be really honest with you, I think a part of it was I just wanted attention. Like I just wanted to be around other people of a like-minded uh, belief system, if you will. And now that I've been practicing for almost 17 years and finally dove into the community quite a bit, I can say with certainty that there's just not a whole there's really not a unified belief system within occultism at all. Even the people that join covens and stuff like that, I just, in my personal experience, there isn't a lot of sameness. There's not a lot of having the same belief systems, the same morals, the same ethics, the same values, literally at all. If anything, like, I kind of feel like the entire occult community as a whole is a one big cluster, you know what. Second question: what am I looking to achieve by participating? Do I seek to educate, learn, or connect? To be really honest with you, I liked the idea of being a person, like a person that taught people that were around, the idea of teaching in my head was a really great idea, because I was sitting here going, you know, I just wanted to be the teacher that I wish I would have had when I was a teenager, basically. I wanted to be that for other people. And now that I've done a little bit of like educational videos here and there, and I don't even know if I'd call them educational necessarily, or I've seen enough other people try to do the whole education thing to where I got uninterested in that. Then underneath the educating other people bit was I really just wanted to learn and connect with other people. So I wanted to learn more about what it means to be a pagan, what it means to be a witch, and I really wanted to just make friends. And the problem with that is, like every religious community, you've got all different types of people from all different types of backgrounds, and the occult community as a whole, just there's so many different personalities, and there's just a lot going on. There's just a lot. And I'll leave it at that for now. So, third question: how do I believe social media as a whole has impacted the community? I think in the very beginning of at least the YouTube era, I think it was a good thing, because I think a lot of people my age, when I was like a teenager and maybe a little bit older, people were finding themselves. People were finding a community that they could connect with. And there used to be this thing in society where agreeing to disagree is okay. And there used to be this thing in society where like if something doesn't have anything to do with you, you mind your fucking business. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And everything is so overshared online that I feel like in the early 2000s, I think social media could have been made to be a good thing. But I think that the way that the internet is today, I don't know that it's healthy for, I want to say, at least 40% of people to even try and find community online. Because it's really hard to hate a person up close. It's really hard to, and what I mean by that is I just wish more people would take the time to really get to know a person before jumping into, oh, we're friends now. Oh, we're like, I knew we were like-minded. And then later on figuring out that that's not the case at all. And to be really honest with you, like, that's just how making friendships work. It is all trial and error. And I truly think the majority of people are doing the best they can with what they have. And so I think that there's just a lot of growing. I think that there's a lot of different elements going on. So how do I think social platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have each impacted education sharing information? And again, I'm going to harp on this. I think in the very beginning, before Musical.ly, before TikTok, before Instagram even existed, I think there was a time on YouTube in particular where there was a healthy ecosystem of dedicated witches, pagans, occultists online that were genuinely trying to create something meaningful and beautiful and powerful. And of course, even then, people really didn't get along. People are still fighting about the same stuff now that they were 10 years ago. But now we have this concept of canceling that we got from TikTok and Instagram and, I don't know, maybe Tumblr, I don't know, where now if you say something wrong online, it's not just, oh, these people unfollow you. Now they're going to go after your job. Now they're going to go after where you go to college. Now you have to worry about people trying to find your information to get you kicked out of your living situation. Especially if you're a new creator, but you don't even, or especially if you're a big creator, but you don't even necessarily need to be a big creator anymore. People are just doing it just to be dicks now. And that's why I have such a hard time with social media as it is now. I think we're learning, thank goodness, I think we're finally starting to rubber band and realize that canceling doesn't always work. And just because you disagree with someone or somebody has a take that you don't like, it's gotten to a point to where the people that started cancel culture have gotten so into the drama of it all and the appeal of, oh, I'm edgy, I'm going to cancel this person, I'm going to find out where they work and get and then that person ends up deleting themselves, and then they have all this guilt. And I'm just sitting here going like, yeah, because cancel culture it's not, in some cases, I think it's a good thing, but in the majority of cases, I think it's not really worth it, because we need different voices. We need to be able to hear from people that we disagree with, because that's how social discourse works. But instead, we just want to get offended and whatever, see about getting them kicked out of their college, see about getting them kicked out of their home where they rent, see about getting them fired from their job. It's no longer about having a discussion. It's about what can I take away from this person so that I don't feel small and so that I can feel powerful? So anyways, last question on this particular topic. Is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for practice? I think there are a lot of younger people in particular, but I don't even know if that's necessarily true. I do think that there's some people out there that legitimately watch other creators. Oh yeah, and one more thing about the social media thing, specifically on education. And people are going to way disagree with me on this. I think I've gotten to a point in my life. Okay, I'm in my 30s now, where I'm trusting authors when it comes to like witchcraft education and occult education. The majority of the people that I genuinely listen to when it comes to these things now have a background, have some type of college education. And the people that I listen to the most have a background in either history or religious studies. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a degree in religious studies or history to be a reliable source. However, I think as I've gotten older, the more I value having the correct information and not just going by feelings all the time. Because I feel like the reason that so many people get butthurt is because they want to go by new age concepts instead of real, authentic witchcraft concepts. Let me explain. In my opinion, when you're going by quote unquote real witchcraft concepts, you're going by not just the word of somebody that has a background in history or a background in religious studies or both. You're also doing your own research to back up what that person is saying. Okay. And the reason I do this is because for me personally, I've noticed that my practice works better when I take those steps to do my practice. Okay. The problem I have with New Age thought is that you can just do witchcraft all by feelings, and your feelings are what matters. And I'm just sitting here going, it's not, it's really both. It's feelings, but also it's the knowledge applied that makes it work. Now, this is coming from somebody that's been practicing over 17 years, okay? That I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. This is my opinion on education as a whole when you're learning online from other influencers and creators. I just don't waste my time with people that either haven't been practicing for at least 10 years or don't have a religious studies background when it comes to education specifically. Now, I can get inspiration from other people that have been practicing for a lesser amount of time, right? I'm not saying that there's not value in watching other people grow and seeing what other people come up with, because yes, witchcraft is and always will be an evolving practice. Like, we all get that. We know that. But when it comes to facts, when it comes to history, when it comes to what people actually did back in the day when they were really doing witchcraft, and what I mean by that is our ancestors, What did they do in England back in, 1402? I don't know. But some scholar named Bob from, Philadelphia might know. So I don't know, so that's why, like I said, even after you get the information from a scholar, I think the best thing we can do is fact check them, fact check their work. Because if you're starting from a place of, if you're starting from academics, I just feel like you just have a better running start. I feel like you have a better overall success rate when it comes to your spell work. Personally speaking, from my own experience, that has been the case. Okay, so now I'm going to move away from that. Is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for practice? Only if you're... It depends. It depends. If you're not willing to put in the work, and when I'm talking about the work, if you're not really willing to sit there and read books, listen to educated voices, I would say probably, but you're going to know yourself more than I will. So I think that's something that each individual person is going to have to figure out for themselves. I just don't have a whole lot to say about that. All right, influencer authenticity. Yay. And the bridges burn. Out of what I share on social media, how much of it is staged versus reality? Well, I don't have the money to be super staged, so the majority of it is reality. But I would say that my attitude has been at least a little skewed because I'm not as happy and, outgoing and all over the place as I appear to be online, because I only show a specific side of myself in the past, especially. The majority of the time I only show this like very happy-go-lucky, all in your face, woo-woo, like let's party kind of guy. But to be really honest with you, like most days I'm just like in my room playing video games, like hoping I can find a better job soon, like just like everybody else. I don't know, like most days are really boring. And like my life in particular, I feel is very boring. I very rarely leave my house. We'll just get off of that. Do I think there is an element of censorship online spaces? How do I decipher what is appropriate to share online versus what to keep private? Is this based on social media etiquette or a personal preference? Well, all etiquette is going to be based on someone's personal preference, right? Like, I don't know how to really respond to that without really getting in some deep stuff. How do I think? Do I think there's an element of censorship online spaces? Well, yeah, of course. Of course there's an element of censorship. Of course there is. Of course there is. Like I said before, the censorship comes in when people try to cancel you, basically. And if you lose, I mean, and then you have to like look at like the kind of audience you cultivate as well. But yeah, there's a lot in that, but I just don't feel like going over most of it because, like, in my opinion, you can say whatever you want. because of freedom of speech. But the whole thing is like, we only value freedom of speech as, we, meaning the woke people, the people that are, trying to make the world a better place, but kind of failing at it. It you can say whatever you want as long as it agrees with the current political narrative. So the thing that the censorship comes in when you decide that you have a different political take than another person. That's where all of that comes into play. It's about politics. Instead of it just being about personal experience, now we have to get politics involved because everybody's decided that they're social justice warriors. And that's all I have to say about that. What tools are helpful to decipher misinformation, and how can we as a community prevent widespread misinformation? Number one, you cannot mitigate or prevent widespread misinformation. You just can't do it. There are too many big pagan YouTubers and TikTokers that have accumulated a following of 500,000 to over 1 million followers that have literally, and I can say this with certainty, no idea what they're doing. And they're basically just selling pure bullshit to people. They're just trying to make a quick buck. All of it revolves around money. And I get it. The economy sucks. Having to do a regular 9-to-5 sucks. I get it. But the misinformation stuff is never going to go away because you have people that just want to line their pockets and don't give a shit if their information is correct or not. So is there anything that you can do personally? Not really, because even if you tell somebody flat out they're wrong and give them the correct information, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to believe you. Because we have a community where literally, I want to say over 50% of people that are in the occult community as a whole, pagan, witch, whatever the fuck you call yourself, okay, are not severely necessarily, are mentally ill. And there's a lot of people in this community that would rather believe lies or believe a lie than face the reality of who they are or what their witchcraft actually does for them. There's a lot of that. And I heard another creator say the number one thing that turns them off from wanting to be subscribed to another creator is if you say something like, is if you say witchcraft can heal mental illness. Well, no. Obviously, that's a big red flag, and no. But on top of that, there's so much there's so much that people just need to believe in, that it's not real, it's not reality. It has, and they wrap their identities around it. And that's where it gets really murky and sticky. They wrap their identity around the lies. And so it's hard to get people to move in a direction where they're moving away from misinformation and coming back into truth and reality, because being an occultist in the first place is kind of a fantastical thing. It does take a certain type of person to even want to participate in the occult. So, you know, um, it's interesting. Let's see. How does a large following impact the perception of the creator? Does this immediately make them an expert, or are there other assumptions as to why they may have a large following? Let me tell you, and I mean this with my whole chest when I say a lot of the bigger creators that claim to be experts, or a lot of the bigger creators that claim to have a knowledge that they don't have, a lot of the reason people gravitate towards them isn't because they actually know what they're talking about. It's because they're aesthetically pleasing to listen to, and they're aesthetically pleasing to the eye, and they know how to straw their words together to be entertaining. It's entertaining. It's not based on anything legitimate. And I'm not saying that to every creator, but what I am saying is a lot of these larger creators, the reason they got there in the first place is because they're aesthetically pleasing to look at, or they have an aesthetically pleasing background, or we love the aesthetically pleasing music. It has nothing to do with actual learning. And that's what people want. And I hate to say it like that. It's not about actually learning anything. It's about feeling and looking a certain way, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I wish more people would be intellectually honest with themselves when it comes to, do you just want to feel powerful, or do you actually want to practice witchcraft? Do you want to put in the work and actually reading books, reading educational, scholarly articles? Are you going to put in that kind of effort? Because if the answer is no, I question personally, and I know I'm going to burn some bridges for this one, I question your authenticity. And like I said before, it's believing the lie. It's needing to believe a lie for convenience sake. And then using the I'm offended card to shut those people up. It's just to shut those people up. It has nothing to do with real practice. Anyways, how does one maintain the balance of authenticity and content creation? I would say long term you can't, because, and I honestly blame, in part, I blame Llewellyn for this. Let me explain. When you have authors that cannot be critical of other authors because it's seen as an attack on their personal character, when you can't be critical of anybody's book because you could have your chance at a book deal taken away from you just for being critical of somebody's body of work. That is a part of the cancel culture that I was talking about at the very beginning. We're all wanting to believe this lie, and we're going to keep this lie up by canceling other people that believe differently than us, that think differently than us. Because it's easier just to be like, yeah, whatever, let's just shut them up, instead of having to actually engage with anybody's opposing thoughts. It's that shit. Um, and I know I've heard of at least 2 stories, and I've even talked to an occult author about this. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago on Twitter about how um, you can't really be honest and authentic without drawing some kind of backlash, because it's either considered a political take or the tea is too hot, if you will. Um, and so, you know, Llewellyn no longer wants to work with them. No book author wants to touch them because, well, your books just won't sell because now nobody likes you. It's that cancellation bullshit that I can't stand. All right, imposter syndrome and FOMO. I don't have a lot to say about this. When I follow other creators in the community space, does it make me feel genuinely inspired and empowered, or does it create feelings of FOMO and being less than? I don't watch a lot of occult content creators anymore. So I don't have a lot of FOMO. I don't have a lot of like, and honestly, the people that I still watch, I do feel empowered and inspired by. They're very far and few between, but I still follow some people. I don't waste my time on hate watching anybody anymore, because it's just a waste of my time and my energy. If I experience FOMO, has it ever left me feeling vulnerable to be taken advantage of, financially or otherwise? An example would be the need to purchase the latest popular product to fit in. I wouldn't say that I needed, like, I have been inspired to make certain purchases based on certain tarot community people, like certain tarot decks or certain oracle decks, based on other people just liking it and then them showing me the cards and then me going, oh, I want that too. But it's never gotten to a point to where I'm just like, oh, I need this because I feel left out. I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care about that part of it, because you know being a witch, being an occultist, you're already on like this weird, like, you're on the outside anyway. But I don't know, paganism is getting so big that really um being a witch and an occultist is becoming a lot more common. Let's see, blah blah blah. If I experience FOMO, have I ever when practicing my craft, do I find myself comparing what I do to what I've been seeing people do online? For the majority of my life, yes, that's actually very true. I used to compare myself so heavily to what other people were doing online. And I think I've finally, within the past year and a half, 2 years, broken out into a space where I feel like my practice is finally my own, where I don't feel the need to compare myself to what other people are doing in their personal practice anymore, because my practice finally actually works for me. And that's all I have to say about that. And what ways do I combat imposter syndrome? Um, so there are always going to be people online that either do it intentionally or possibly not intentionally, but I have found that there is a lot of people that intentionally want you to feel like an imposter, because they feel like their information and what they have to offer is inherently better than yours. and they see you as a financial competition just having a YouTube channel. Doesn't matter if you're brand new or been doing it for, doing YouTube for 10 years, they see you as a financial competition. And so they purposefully try to foster imposter syndrome within you to, to me, it's almost a form of gaslighting, so that you're not, quote unquote, stealing money from their potential customers. And like I said, I think the idea of making money online by being a witchcraft content creator has kind of ruined the space. Not completely, but it has definitely made a huge dent in the kind of people that I'm willing to listen to. Like, as soon as I watch a video and I hear somebody say, "This video was brought to you by," most of the time I'm going to click off. "This video is sponsored by," I just don't do that shit. I don't do that shit. What would my practice look like without the social media influence of other creators? I don't know that I would be an occultist or a witch if it wasn't for the fact that there was social media to begin with. I was inspired 17 years ago to become a witch by Tiptoe Chick on YouTube. She's, goddess rest her soul, she's since passed. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, I don't know that I would be a witch at all. I don't know that I would practice witchcraft. I think maybe I would have found my way into it still. I would hope. But I don't think the inspiration to really look into it and try it would have ever really been a thing without her. I really don't. Because, it just takes that certain voice to really get you interested and hooked. And for me, Tiptoe Chick was that voice. So like I said, like, I think there was a moment in time when there was a good reason for witchcraft community online, but I think that time is slowly passing. I think that more face-to-face connection is needed now than what used to be. All right. Topic 4. Capitalizing off of community. Do I consider online communities as equal valid to in-person communities? Yes, but they're inherently different communities. And like I said before, it's harder to hate somebody up close. And the kind of pagans and witches that I meet in person are wildly different than the majority of the pagans and witches that I meet online. Not completely, but I noticed that there are some differences. How have online occult witchcraft communities impacted me as a person and a practitioner? Oh my God. I'll keep it short. My trust for people as a whole has gotten a lot stricter. Who I allow in my energy and my space has gotten a lot stricter. The people I associate myself with have gotten a lot stricter. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I have been burned and let down so many times that if I still even message you privately, like, it means we're still on good terms. Like, if I'm still even willing to message you privately, it means that we're good. But like, I don't know. I've just been let down a lot. I've been hurt really badly. And it really sucks because leaving the Christian religion and not having a church to go to every Sunday, it does get lonely and it does feel isolating. That's the thing that has been the hardest for me, being a witchcraft practitioner and an occultist and being a part of this quote unquote faith, if you will, or this belief system. That's been the hardest part for me, is this faith, this religion, whatever you want to call it, this being an occultist, being a witch, it's very lonely. It is very lonely, especially if you're a male witch, because it is harder to find groups of people that'll even take male witches, right? I've tried to join a few different groups. Hell, I even at one point made my own group. But people get busy, people have lives, or people just aren't interested in having males in their coven spaces. And so for me, I've had not no luck, but very, very little luck finding friendship and finding anybody that I trust enough to even allow in my space long term. And that's all I have to say about that portion. What are some of the dangers of the current phenomenon of capitalizing off of witchcraft as a community? What are some of the current dangers capitalizing off of witchcraft in the community? I think, like I said before, and I've already touched on this, all I'm going to say about this is I think there's way, way, way too many people trying to make money off of being a witch. And there's way too many people trying to start startups and be the outlier. And I think that it ruins the experience of newer practitioners that are coming into the space, because when you're first becoming a witch, the last thing you need to be thinking about is how much money I can make off of other people by being an influencer. And I'm speaking from personal experience as well. I think that there's such a focus on money and making money. And really, I think it's better to there's a reason that there's a year and a day in Wiccan covens. And I think that they were onto something. I think if you're not taking 1 to 2 years to really figure your own practice out, I don't know. I have weird feelings around charging people money for services when it comes to that stuff. I don't know how to really discern that quite. It's just, to me, I just go by my gut. Do I feel like this person has the ability to heal something in me energetically? Yes. Do I feel like it's worth paying them? It's either a yes or a no. To me, it's kind of a toss-up. I wouldn't pay an arm and a leg for energetic services, though. If somebody's charging you over, I would say, $200 for any witchcraft service, no. Just flat out, with my full chest, no. Should there be a paywall? Should there be paywalled communities and online courses? I do see the appeal of paywalled communities, but as I've gotten older, I don't like. I don't know. I have my friend group now, so I don't need to be behind a paywalled community. Once you find your friend group, you just create a Discord for them to all go into, and you don't need to pay anybody anything. That's just kind of how I feel about that. Should there, let's see, so far as online courses are concerned, only if you really trust that person. And even if you trust that person, I'd still be fact checking the fuck out of them. I'd be fact checking everything they say. Everything. Every little detail of their course, I would be fact checking everything. How does one ensure the authenticity of coursework and workshops and mentorships as a financial investment? Okay, so this is a harder one. How does one ensure the authenticity of coursework, a workshop, mentorships, etc. as a financial investment? If you do not see your life physically improving, if your overall emotional stability, if you don't feel more emotionally like when you go into a mentorship, if you're not feeling emotionally good about it, if you're not seeing a physical difference in your actual life, I would say don't keep doing it. If a course on something witchcraft or something mentorship, whatever the thing is, if you're not seeing any benefit, I would say after 2 months, I would say give it a while, 2 to 3 months, whatever. Give the person a real chance if you really trust them. But I would say, if after 2 or 3 months you don't see a difference, fucking cancel. Stop paying them money. All right. Conclusions. What are some topics of conversation I'd like to see more of in our community? Well, there's the age-old one of where are all the male pagans at? I just want to see more representation for males in the space in general. More topics of conversation. I just wish people wouldn't. I wish the things that people wish they could talk about that are too afraid to talk about, I wish people would talk about those things anyway. That's more of the topics I want to see in the community. What are my community needs? My needs? I don't have any community needs. I've got all the community I need. Where would I like to feel more held and supported? I don't need witchcraft community to make me feel held and supported. I already have a support group, so I don't necessarily need you to be an occultist or a witch for that. Where do I feel like I'm not truly being seen by my community? I think that there was a point in time where I wanted to be perceived a certain way, and I wanted to be seen as a certain thing. And now that I'm 33, I think that, and taken some time away from YouTube, away from social media in general, I think I can honestly say that I don't care if I feel like I'm being emotionally seen by strangers on the internet. I don't care. I have people in my real life that see me. So I don't need strangers on the internet to make me feel anything. Like, I just don't care. How can we help each other in removing the external peer pressure and grow community? The peer pressure will always be there because because a lot of the younger people want to know that they're doing things right. And the only way to do things right is with time and practice. You just have to do it. Let me see. How can we as a community come together more with constructive criticism without seeming shady, passive aggressive? Everybody needs to go to therapy. Everybody needs a fucking therapist. There is a lot of mental illness in the community, and there's a lot of people that hide behind being offended as a means to quiet people that have legitimate constructive criticism. And the other thing is I don't feel like it's anybody's place to give anybody else constructive criticism unless the person has specifically asked for it, with the caveat that if they have a published work, aka a witchcraft book or a mentorship program or something public that either everybody has access to, or it's behind a paywall and you bought the thing, you're allowed to be critical. You're allowed to critique. You're allowed to have an opinion of that. But like I said before, people want to hide behind being offended to shut those people up. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a way to change that besides just telling those people, well, shut the fuck up. I have that opinion. I don't give a fuck. Instead of being passive aggressive, just be aggressive. Just be outwardly aggressive. Just fuck it. I'm not saying stab a person, right? I'm not saying that, but like, hello. How can we as a community do better when we do receive criticism and slash feedback? I would say thank you. Like, it depends on where the criticism is coming from. If it's from a stranger on the internet, I don't give a fuck about your criticism. I don't care. But if it's from somebody that I'm literally asking for their criticism, or if it's somebody that I'm close to giving me a criticism, that's different. But if you are not a part of my kitchen cabinet, I don't care. I simply don't give a fuck. Who are some community members that I look up to that are reliable sources and aspirational? Honestly, Noah Tempestari has been really great for me. Noah Tempestari has been my friend for years now. I appreciate him. Thorn Mooney for sure. She's like one of my favorites. Thorn Mooney. Keldon, the guy that created The Crooked Path. Keldon. And Craig Spencer, the guy that redid Aradia, or retranslated the Gospel of Aradia. So those are some people I kind of see as reliable sources, people that I feel like build community well. And then any other thoughts? Not really. I just want to say that, like, overall, I don't engage with the witchcraft occult community very much anymore. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that um, I'm just not interested in arguing with other people about what correct information is anymore. Um, because if you tell me I'm wrong, I'm going to expect you to have a link to the correct information as soon as you say that to me. Um, I just, I don't have a big investment on being online anymore, especially in the occult witchcraft online space, because now I have friends that I know love and care about me. Now I have people, I surround myself with people now that I know will be there for me when I really need them. And I'm not interested, and I don't care in trying to impress strangers on the internet anymore. I don't care. And I just wish more people would have the balls to critique more witchcraft books and critique the way people are getting their information. And, you know, like I said before, like, if being critical of somebody's body of work is going to cause you to not be able to sign with Llewellyn, go independent. But the thing that pisses me off the most when it comes to witchcraft authors and content creators in general is they're all a bunch of fucking pussies that are so worried about their bottom line and how much they're going to make monetarily that they never really speak up and are critical of other people's work because they're so worried about Llewellyn canceling them and not signing them again, or that particular author no longer being willing to work with them, or whatever the situation may be. They're all so concerned and so scared with losing profit that they can't be critical anymore. And this is the number one problem I have with the witchcraft community, is we don't have enough elders, true elders, that are calling out the younger generation when it comes to just being full of shit, basically calling them out on their bullshit. Which I don't know if there necessarily needs to be a lot of that anyway, but we can't even talk about cultural appropriation anymore because nobody can disagree on what actual cultural appropriation is anymore. We can't even, like, I literally heard a guy on TikTok, which made me really sad, say, I don't practice witchcraft at all because I'm not a cultural appropriator. He thinks being a witch as a whole is being appropriative. And that pisses me the fuck off because I'm like, bitch, no, that's not how that shit works. No. Where are you getting your information? You'll have people on TikTok say, you can't use herbs because if you're using any herbs in your witchcraft, that's cultural appropriate. Like I said before, it's the offensive stuff. It's shutting up like good educated voices through offense. As long as I'm offended, you'll shut up. And as long as I'm offended, I'll get your job taken away from you. I'll get your living situation taken away from you because I'll call your landlord and get you out of your apartment. I'll call your where you work and get you, taken out of where you work. It's that bullshit that these bigger the authors and the social media influencers, occult and witchcraft included, are worried about. That's why nobody's speaking up. So that's all I have to say about any of this shit. Yes, I'm going to leave the comments on. And if I don't know you personally, I'm not going to give a fuck what you comment. So there you have it. And there you go. Bridges burned. There's your piping hot tea. Hope you don't hate me, but if you do, that's your business, not mine. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to my hour-long, excruciatingly painful rant. And I will make sure that this stays public after this ends. All right, bye.